as I've said before, the people have spoken. And what I want to make sure is that we're going to have a seamless and successful transition. I know there are other candidates out there making noise and making claims, and if they do have legal claims, they'll be heard and they will be properly adjudicated. At the same time, I think it's 36 days between today and the day of the new governor's swearing in. So I just want to make certain that this office continues with the momentum that it has, and we're going to have a peaceful transition.
When you talked to her, what's the best piece of advice you think you gave her? Did you literally kind of get a heart-to-heart with her? Well, to tell her what she's in for?
I'm going to, of course, hold our conversations in confidence, but I did commit to her that I love this state. I have great respect for this office, and anything I can do to be helpful in this transition, I want to do, and she's taken me up on it.
What would be the best piece of advice you would give an incoming person coming into this job and the tremendous burden that it is? It's an honor, but it's a burden. It's
a responsibility. I think it's the people business. That's really what we are. This is about the people of Arizona. So your most important decisions are the people you select, your chief of staff, the people that are on your senior staff, the people that are your agency heads, the people that forward face to the citizens and voters and decision makers of Arizona. So to make sure that you make proper selections of people that love the state and care about the folks in the state, just like you do.
What do you think is the most important skill set for a governor, a chief executive in a position like this? What are the skills that these people should have?
Well, first I would say it is about people selection. So the personnel is policy, and I'm very proud of the people that have served with me on the 8th and 9th floor. I think I've been so blessed with a quality and talented, hardworking senior staff, so I think that's most important. And then you're in the decision-making business. I mean, no decision gets to you unless everyone that works with you and for you has decided that only you can decide it. So you have to be thoughtful in terms of the decisions that you make.
So when it's really a big issue, all of you sit around a table and hash it out. You want the contrarian view, you want whatever's out there. Let the opinions fly, and then you've got to make the call.
For a long time, I met with my senior staff every day. I wanted to hear both sides of every issue. That's how we did every single bill. I don't know how many bills I signed. I'm sure it was thousands over the course of 8 years. But I wanted to hear the for case, the against case, and the recommendation. And we did that on every bill, and I enjoyed that very much. I'll likely miss it, but when you do it for 8 years in a row, you know, you've done your duty.
When you came in, I think we were a $1.5 billion budget deficit in the state. You leave now with a surplus of $5 billion. Tell me how that guided your governing in the early part when you were in the hole. I know you had a hiring freeze. You had to do some serious things without raising taxes.
This is where my private sector background really came in, being a businessman. I mean, here's the secret. We spent less money than we took in. It's pretty simple, just like every family and small business out there has to do. And in that first year, we made the tough decisions. I ran as someone who wanted to shrink a government and grow an economy. I'd been through a couple downturns as a CEO of company in the past, so I didn't want to waste that wisdom on the largest responsibility that I ever had in my life. So I knew we had to make tough decisions and tighten our belt in that first year. We did. We balanced the budget, and then we had dollars available every year following to invest in things like K-12 education, infrastructure for our state, and just a better place to live.
Education was a huge issue when you were taking office. It was maybe issue one. We did a debate on it, you and Fred Duval.
I recall it very well.
We talked about all of this. I remember at one point in the debate you said, we're spending half of our state budget on education. When is it ever going to be enough?
I still feel that same way. We do need money. We need likely more money for our teachers, and you need money for education. But I'm someone who's always believed in educational choice. Today, Arizona is the gold standard for educational freedom across the country. Every parent can take a large portion of their taxpayer dollars and go to the school of their choice. And I want to see those dollars going into the classroom. I want to see those dollars going to teachers. And I think our parents are very wise consumers. No one loves their children more than parents. And I think Arizona's made huge strides in education in both investment and in quality.
You believe, I sense, that you think that competition will raise the traditional public school product as well.
Well, the evidence is in. Arizona has been a leader in school choice over the last 8 years, and we've seen not only our public charters but our public districts improve. Now, we do have some work to do around COVID, but we see that healthy, dynamic competition because there's a battle for the seats. And John, the other thing I want to point out is that we were able to put $11.4 billion additional dollars into K-12, get our teachers that 20% pay raise, solve the Prop 123 issue with $3.5 billion additional into K-12. So folks that just want to focus on funding and dollars, well, listen, we've put a ton in, more than any other state in the nation over the last 8 years. We need to focus on outcomes and results, and that's where school choice really helps solve the issue.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we look at performance as the measuring stick for funding in traditional public schools?
I think we have to look at performance in outcomes and results, in growth year over year.
How does that play in a low-income district?
Well, we want all of our kids. I mean, all you can really do is take a kid and meet them where they are, and then help them become smarter over the next year for the amount of seat time that they have. So I think that idea, there's a discussion always around growth and proficiency. I'm for both. I want you or me or any one of our young people to be smarter year over year, but I also want them to be proficient and be masters of these subjects, especially the ones that will allow them to go out into the world and be better citizens and contribute to their communities.
Is it an oversimplification that you may have seen the light on the power of education when we started having companies that you were trying to attract who were really worried about the education in Arizona, and that you started to really see this nexus between who we're educating, how we're educating them, and who we can attract to come in here, the big companies?
John, we have attracted the most valuable and important companies in the world to come to Arizona, as well as having our own businesses grow and flourish inside our state. I've always been a proponent of K-12 education, but I want you to know that every business that we've won, every interview that I've sat with a CEO or a decision maker, no one has had a concern about our education in Arizona.
No.
There is a good education available for anyone in our state. It's actually our kids in the low income and vulnerable areas that are being left behind. People that are bringing companies to Arizona, their kids are getting a great education. I want that education for all of our kids. That was what ESAs are all about.
So that did not deter anybody?
Not once. And I did as many or more interviews with CEOs than any other governor in the country. I will also say, and I want to thank and applaud Michael Crow and Arizona State University being the most innovative university in the country the last 7 years running, what Bobby Robbins is doing at U of A. We've got incredible engineers going to the high-tech, high-paying sector, along with our wonderful service sector that we've always had. So we're very blessed in Arizona with an incredible education for anyone that wants to pursue it, and I won't leave our community colleges out of the discussion.
One of the things that happened during your time is you added 2 members to the Arizona State Supreme Court. You took a lot of heat over that. Even some of the justices didn't think it was necessary. Why did you think it was?
Well, this was the decision of the legislature in terms of right-sizing our court for how large the state was. It was really somehow what was intended in terms of when the court was created, because those seats were available. We also had a very limited amount of cases that the Supreme Court was hearing. Now there's an expansion of what's possible, and I signed the bill.
So when we have this discussion nationally, that we still hear it about packing the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, how is this different than that?
Well, states are different than the federal government, and don't take it from Doug Ducey, take it from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. 9 is enough for the Supreme Court of the United States, and I think states that are growing and evolving, we're the youngest state of the lower 48. We were founded in 1912. Now we're one of the larger and fastest growing states, and I think our government has been right-sized. While our state government is actually smaller by head count, our state is larger, we have more jobs available, this government's more efficient, and the court system and judiciary is functioning at a high level.
Would you agree that your biggest challenge, that maybe the thing that defines, in a sense, your governorship, was COVID?
No, I would say the thing that defines the governorship is where the state was from an economic standpoint 8 years ago and where it is today. It's been completely transformed. Companies like Taiwan Semiconductor could have gone anywhere in the world. They chose Arizona. Who would have ever thought we'd be an electric vehicle hub for the nation? Lucid was looking at 13 other states, 60 markets, chose Arizona. The batteries that we have that are being manufactured here, that to me is the largest transformation. When I ran for office, I came from the business community. A lot of people helped me along the way. They said they loved the state. They weren't leaving, but their son or daughter who graduated from you name the college could not apply their degree in the state of Arizona. Well, I haven't heard that for 5.5 years.
We're going to talk about COVID, though, when we come back, because you had a lot of challenges with that, and it was a tough time for everybody, including you. We're going to take a break here with Governor Ducey. Back in a minute on Newsmaker Saturday. Come back to Newsmaker Saturday, chatting with Governor Ducey in his final days, the exit interview. Let's talk about COVID for a minute. So you've got this kid from ASU, test positive, I think it was early January of 2020. Mm-hmm. When that started to happen, what did you do, first of all? Do you get everybody together and say, I think we're going to have to brace for this?
Well, I took COVID seriously right from the beginning, and I was blessed with an incredible director of health services in Dr. Kara Christ. She was the subject matter expert. She had dealt with Ebola, H1N1, and measles outbreaks in the past. So we sat down for a briefing, and I asked her what she thought, and she looked me in the eye and said, Governor, this feels different. So right from the get-go, the first time I walked in front of the press, I said, we're going to take this very seriously. And we did.
You declared an emergency in March of 2020.
I'm declaring a declaration of public health emergency. Here's what the declaration does. It allows the state to quickly tap into additional public health emergency resources when needed to combat the virus. It requires nursing homes and assisted living facilities to implement visitor policies. March 11th of 2020, we declared, I remember the date, and we prioritized lives, livelihoods, and individual liberties. We did it differently than other states, and I believe if you look at how the state has navigated through COVID, how we are stronger today, that we did it as good as possible.
Early on in that press conference, the emergency rules protected residents and nursing homes in group homes.
Yes.
You identified right at the beginning the singular most vulnerable population.
It was people 65 and older with an underlying health condition. Those are the folks we were going to prioritize.
Did that shape your policy about trying to balance economy, keeping younger people working, keeping businesses open, and protecting the most vulnerable?
Well, of course. I wanted to protect the most vulnerable. I wanted to take the facts as they were being presented, not look at other states, not try to outdo other governors. I think we saw some grandstanding across the country, but I didn't point fingers at other states.
You mean about mask wearing, locking people down, shutting businesses
I was
down.
in charge of Arizona, and I was going to prioritize lives and livelihoods. And I also had a lot of conversations with the press about individual liberties. I was asked all the time about if I was going to shut down churches. And I think the same thing that protects religious freedom is enshrined in the First Amendment that protects freedom of the press. So I was protected both those liberties.
In April 2020, you issue a month-long stay-at-home order. You extended that. Any regrets?
No, it was a stay home, stay healthy, stay connected. We were still figuring out what COVID was, and what the guidance was to try to break up large gatherings. Of course, people could go about their business, and many did. If you remember, the weather was gorgeous at that time of year. We had many people outside. And COVID, although it was raging on the East Coast, it hadn't yet come to Arizona in scale until June, when everybody came inside.
Along with the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kathy Hoffman, you also chose to close schools. That had to be one of the toughest decisions you made.
We have some learning loss, and listen, screens and online learning have not been good for our kids, especially our kids in the low-income areas. So we put together the summer camp this year to catch our kids up. Arizona's been one of the leading states in doing that. We had less learning loss than other places, so I think that we handled things better than other states, but we have to identify that we just need to catch our kids up on what they fell behind on.
At the same time, you took heat for failing to require more social distancing and mask wearing and other restrictions. Then you had, at the same time, groups trying to recall you over being too restrictive on COVID. You were walking this tightrope, it strikes me, the whole time. Of economy, business,
I set the
liberty.
right priorities. There was so much about COVID that was wrong that we were told. And if you look at the way that Arizona, one of the top 3 states in the nation in terms of coming out of COVID, I think you'd say that we set the right priorities.
Okay, let's talk about November 30th, 2020, I believe is the date. You're signing papers certifying the election. President Trump calls you. His "Hail to the Chief" ringtone pops up on your phone, and you put it down on the table and you silenced it.
It was a public act in an official ceremony. Regardless of who was calling, I was going to call them back.
Your relationship with President Trump, it was lukewarm at the beginning. I think you were reticent. I think that's a fair characterization.
I would say I had a positive relationship with Donald Trump as the nominee, a positive relationship with President Trump, and I took advantage of the relationship for the people of Arizona. We worked very closely with the Trump-Pence administration to get things done for our state, like border security, and I would do all that again.
How much pressure were you under to not certify that election? Can you describe it to people, how much intense pressure you were
Well,
getting?
you saw what others were saying and what was happening, but for me it was clear that I was going to follow the law and uphold my oath to the Constitution.
That decision, I would say, is looking better in history's view as time goes on.
I wish all my decisions were that easy.
Really?
To follow the law and
Okay.
uphold an oath that you took to the Constitution of the state and the United States, that's a simple decision.
You have been a relentless tax cutter. We're at a 2.5% flat tax phased in beginning this year. Why was that so important? And what do you think it means for the economic well-being and attracting business to this state?
We have the lowest flat tax in the nation. It's at 2.5%. Every time we've lowered taxes, we've received more taxpayers. I mean, Americans vote with their feet, and they go to places where there's higher quality of life and more economic opportunity, and I don't think there's a better place in the nation than Arizona. So we've lowered or simplified taxes every year I've been in office, and right now we've got an economic momentum that is unstoppable.
You think taxes reduced brings growth and prosperity?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's low taxes, light regulation. It's also an excellent education system, which we have, affordable, accessible, reliable energy, and ample water. So on all those fronts, Arizona is leading.
We're running short on time. Let me ask you about the border.
Yes.
How much can a governor do? How much do you collide with federal law to where you're limited on what you can do? You're running into this with your makeshift pieces of border wall down there with shipping containers.
We've put the National Guard to the border. We've put the Border Strike Force to the border. We've done everything we can, myself, Greg Abbott, other governors around the country with American Governors Border Strike Force. But you need the help of the federal government. And if our entire southern border isn't secure, neither is our nation. So regardless of what Arizona and Texas do, if New Mexico and California and Joe Biden aren't going to take care of this or pay attention to it, we're going to have the fentanyl overdoses and poisonings that we're seeing across the country. That's coming across our southern border, and it's just wrong what this administration is doing in terms of a dereliction of duty in protecting Americans and Arizonans.
Would you still call yourself a McCain Republican?
I've always called myself a Doug Ducey Republican. I honor and respect John McCain in his life. I came of age under Ronald Reagan. That was my first vote. And of course, any Republican in the state of Arizona has likely voted for John McCain several times. John McCain was a war hero. John McCain was our nominee for President of the United States. And I think if you want to be governor of the state of Arizona, you ought to ask the people that have voted for John McCain to vote for you.
Any regrets?
No regrets.
What didn't you get done?
No regrets. I don't do regrets, Jim.
No regrets.
So I came in every day and did my best.
You
Laced up my wingtips and came in here and...
You seem like a man at peace.
I don't know if at peace would be the right word. I don't know that I've ever been at peace, but I feel like I've left it all on the field. I've left the state better than I found it, and I've been able to have the best job in the country every day in the best state, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Final thing, Governor, what's next?
You know, I don't know what's next. I'm gonna finish strong. I want to get this water deal done. We're going to have the transition. I'm going to appoint the remaining judges that are available for the appellate and superior courts, and then I'm going to take some time with Angela, and we'll figure out what's next in time.
Do you want to seek public office again?
I haven't foreclosed on anything. I came from the private sector. I can happily return to the private sector, but I care about this cause. I care about the conservative cause, and I care about our country.
Great to see you,
Thank
Governor
you, John.
Doug Ducey.
You got it.
Best wishes.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back in a minute on Newsmaker Saturday.